Hi, my name's Caitlin Bell. I'm a brand voice copywriter and my business is Bell Copy Co. And yeah, listen today to learn all about how Disney can help you create a magical and dream business.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show. I'm your host, Prosper Taruing, and today we have a phenomenal guest that's joining us. She's a brand voice copywriter who's helping personal brands find, document, and amplify their own unique voice. And when it comes to making your writing as fabulous as you are in person, I need you to look no further than Caitlin Bell. Now, Caitlin, how are you doing, my love?
Very well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Prosper.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the pleasure is all mine. I don't know if you can notice, I'm all giddy about this because you are an ex-Disney person, right? Tell us a little bit about that because I'm so excited. My whole childhood is just right here in front of me right now.
Oh, wow. So I worked at Disney through basically it's called like a college program. So Disney came to my university and yeah, basically they were saying that you can complete, a semester over in Orlando and basically working. And I had no idea about it, but a friend was going along to it. They hosted a night, and I said, "Sure, I'll come. I'll hear what it's all about." And little did I know that at the end of the basically it was the presentation, they started interviewing. So I didn't even, it wasn't even something that I'd heard about. But then afterwards, I was getting interviewed for this job, and they were asking me, like, why do you want to be doing this? And, I'm a lifelong Disney person, of course, like love Beauty and the Beast is my favorite. And so I was able to kind of wax poetical and, all about I guess just my whole, being and also passionate. It was a big yes. And then I ended up, getting a position in the college program and lived in, Orlando, Florida for 6 months. And it was just a fantastic incredible time. I feel so lucky to have done it. I worked basically as a concierge. So I worked in one of the resorts and I helped people kind of so I worked in the what they called like the club lounges. So I helped with like preparing food and things like that and just making guests time as enjoyable as possible. And then of course on the weekends or the time off, it was all about going to the parks, and that was just phenomenally fun. We also did, I think it was about a week, and we were at Disney University, which was such an exciting time. And we even met, Mickey Mouse at the end of that time. And of course, everyone like erupted. It was such an exciting, fun experience.
Absolutely. I quite like that. I mean, I don't know. There's always this high that every kid, whenever they're in the Disney universe and Disney world, I've never taken my kids, but I can just see their faces light up when they meet up with the characters, when we go to shows and things like that. Now, is it the same when you're actually working in the environment, or is it a whole, I'm just going to work?
For me, it was always exciting. It was always just like even walking around the parks, I was always amazed every time I saw, say, a princess. It was like like I kind of turned into a child, and it was and I can even say that for a lot of people, that it felt like that. It just felt like this magical experience, and I think Disney do such an amazing job of that. Like they're just incredible at making dreams come true and making it such a magical experience. But I think definitely take a visit.
Absolutely. Well, I can, imagine what it would be like, and I also can't wait to take my kids to Disney World and experience that all by myself. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you're now doing now. I mean, you're still giving people a magical experience, but you're doing that with words now.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I have a background in health. So I worked in health as an admin officer for quite a while. That was actually while I was studying. So I have a bachelor's degree, and I majored in like French and philosophy. So I've always loved languages and traveling and culture and things like that. And then I yeah, so at the same time working in health, and then I had a kind of a desire to become like psychology. Like I love people, talking with people, understanding their why, what they're doing, why they are the person they are. And so I decided to pursue psychology, and that was another, university adventure. 7 years later, I kind of finally became a psychologist. And I still work as a psychologist, but then I discovered when I was writing my website copy for my psychology practice, I found out about this thing called copywriting, and I'd never ever heard of it before. And I thought, what is this thing? It's like quite a lot like psychology, having to understand, people, the audience, what makes people tick, that kind of thing. But then of course, it's in words, which I've always loved writing. It's kind of just seemed like this perfect pair. It's something that you can do wherever, of course, with the power of the internet. And then I met a few people in the industry and thought, why not? Why not kind of, follow my dreams and do something that kind of is such a passion-led project. It started with a passion, like more of a passion side project, but now it's something that, I absolutely love. And it's something that I'm all in for. And I've started specializing in brand voice, which is all about that, helping people reflect who they are in their words and how they speak.
Absolutely. This puts you in a very unfair advantage when it comes to all of this that you're doing, because marketing, copywriting is just amplified psychology. Like you said, you really just need to understand how people tick, how people react and act and respond to certain words and influences that are given upon them. And if we want people to buy from us, we need to know them, we need to understand how they're going through. And if you have that on tap, well, some of us have to actually go out and read. I don't know if you can see the book that I'm reading here,
Yeah.
Cialdini's book of influence. But you studied that. How was that transition now coming from psychology to being a copywriter? Was that easy, or did you just use yours both skill sets and you've just become this weapon you've become?
It's a good question, actually. I definitely, I've absolutely read that book, and I studied a lot of copywriting, but I think it's more so just because of my background, it came a lot easier to me. And it's like I'm probably at a place now where I feel quite confident with copywriting, whereas if I didn't have the psychology background, it might have taken me quite a few, like many, many years to kind of be in this place. So I think it's almost like that kind of concept where you kind of don't know. It's like that concept where you kind of almost like don't know what you don't know. So it's like I know all this stuff, so it's kind of just seems like it's natural to me. Whereas I'm sure people who maybe they don't have the psychology background, it might have taken a little bit longer, but they kind of get there eventually after reading books like Cialdini's.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, there's a whole difference between, playing at Disney World, like what you were doing, and then also pursuing a psychology degree, and then putting that into a form of a business. Maybe can you walk us through, the journey of maybe what really inspired you to get started on the copywriting side of things, and why specifically helping people find their brand voice? Because there's different facets, like you said, that people can utilize, but you chose this part, which is the brand voice side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of the business side of things, I was working for quite a while as a psychologist in, say, like palliative care. So I was working with people at the end of their life, which was such an honor and a privilege for that I was able to, do that. And I sat with people who, were at the end of their lives, and they talk about their, their life and what they had achieved, maybe what things that they wish they could have done. And it really I think just having that in the back of my mind, and then when I came across copywriting, and I just had this, it was just this overwhelming feeling of like, wow, this is so incredible. Like I can't not explore this. And so then it just felt like a natural thing to follow. I guess I didn't want to die wondering, what if I'd become a writer? What if I, had chosen, to follow this copywriting adventure. But then in terms of brand voice, it's just something that I see a lot of and I'm curious to hear about what your experience of this as well, but a lot of people talking about, like, say, imposter syndrome or self-doubt and things like that. It feels like it's such a big topic in the marketing or online space. And for me, I really saw, well, maybe people aren't necessarily putting content out into the world that reflects who they are, like maybe they're copying things that they've seen another marketer do, like words that they think make them feel smart, but it's not necessarily language they use. And of course, you're going to have that like icky kind of feeling, or like maybe it's like that self-doubt, or you're feeling like a fraud. And so part of what I love doing is helping people put out content that reflects who they truly are, so then they feel confident and kind of reassured that what they're putting out there kind of is the message or how they want to say it. And then I discovered so I learned brand voice from a copywriter called Justin Blackman, who runs Brand Voice Academy, so an absolute legend in the copywriting field. And so I did his Brand Voice Visionary, it's called. And so, that really cemented my love and interest, and kind of going full direction into that, into that space.
Oh, absolutely. And half of the things that you have done, if I would piece it together, you have had experience at the very beginning of somebody's life, which is playing at Disney. That's childhood, kids' experiences and things like that. And you've also gone to the extreme of the palliative care and aged care, which is the end of somebody's life. So you literally know the dash in between from birth to death and what people really need. And if you can put that in words and really give that back to people, I don't even think you had a realization of the power of what you have in terms of your own experience.
That's such a good point. I had never really thought about it that way. That's such a so powerful, and like, it gives me kind of chills for sure. Like you say, like birth to dirt. What a phrase. And but it is like that, isn't it? Kind of that, and I think that's probably what comes through in, say, my brand, like my brand voice. I'm very playful, I'm a bit silly, like I'm just that kind of like approachable, I'm a bit goofy, but at the same time I'm very, kind of empathetic and very kind of protective of like small businesses and people that I work with, for sure. But I think that like fun and that kind of playfulness that comes through, so I think that's something that I hope that the people that I work with, all my clients, they kind of really experience that. And I really hope that it also allows them to be a little bit more fun. So I've had some people I've worked with realizing, oh my gosh, I never knew I could write emails like this before, after reading one of my emails, where I'm just I just, write like I talk, right? And even just that kind of little realization can have such a profound impact. So I think, even for your listeners and your viewers, just those small little things can have such a ripple effect.
See, like you're talking about imposter syndrome and everything else, a lot of people take themselves too seriously, especially when it comes to the internet. And not only do they realize that they're competing against an algorithm, and it's an algorithm that has no feeling. Whereas when they then show up in the news feed, all they're seeing is what the algorithm is reflecting back at them, and they don't find their own space and place in that feed. And that's the reason why a lot of people don't connect. And I can assume that none of these things that we put out there or think matters, because you've spoken to people that are maybe almost on their deathbed, and half of the things that they wish or yearn to have done is seldom tweeting or TikToking or things like that. They wish they would have done a lot more other things. Now, can you maybe share a powerful moment or a lesson that you might have experienced that you'd have gone through while talking to somebody who's in palliative care or in aged care that still influences your work till this day?
That's such a great question. I think, like you said, it's that about like doing things that really, really matter and that are really kind of heartfelt or heart-led. So much of, I think, maybe business is kind of like, yeah, like you said, like chasing the next thing, or like the algorithm and trying to fight the algorithm rather than being kind of present in the moment. And then I'm not saying that I'm perfect at this. I kind of get caught up in the day to day, but I think, yeah, that really being present in the moment, like what we're doing now, is so impactful, because yeah, absolutely, we don't kind of know what's going to happen tomorrow. And I think that's for sure one of the reasons why I, yeah, went into, copywriting, and because it was such a thing that I was like, yes, I really want to do this. I don't want to wait for tomorrow. I don't want to wait for like next year. Like, I don't really know what I'm doing. Like, it's not something that I've, had ever had experience with, but what the heck, I can learn, I can do it. Like, we live, like you were saying before, we live in an age where pretty much any kind of thing we want to find out is out there. Like, knowledge is out there, and just start. Like, doing something is better than nothing. I think a lot of people, well, I'm probably talking about myself here, but you have lots of notes on my phone about ideas and things like that. But, it's maybe like a messy idea that you put out there that's not perfect is better than something that, yeah, gathers dust in your notes folder on your phone.
Oh, absolutely. I quite like the notes section in my phone there. It just holds a whole lot of things. It used to be my passwords before, but now that has been solved. So fantastic. Now, how is it that you help businesses and some personal brands with your brand voice services? You have a framework that you have created, right? Could you maybe give us all the bells and whistles, so to speak?
Yeah, of course. So I've got a framework that is based off my learnings when I studied brand voice in Brand Voice Academy. And so really, when we think about brand voice, it's made up of three things. So the phrases we use, like, call it the phraseology. So do we use kind of long, complex, wordy words that, kind of maybe need a PhD to understand, or do we use really simple, concise language that, maybe a preschooler could understand? So that's one aspect. So that's the F. Or maybe even made up words. So phraseology, I spell it with an F. So that's a made up word, because phraseology is meant to start with PH, right? And then there's the attitude. So that's really the tone in your voice. So do you speak in like a, whimsical way? Is it kind of like really friendly? Is it kind of snarky? Is it cheeky? Is it like, what is it? Like, all of those tones which really impact, yeah, the feeling of your writing. So it's a really, really big part of it. And then there's the third part, which is beat. So the rhythm or the cadence of your writing. For some people who have that really like whimsical, breathless, you feel relaxed when you read their writing, they have really long sentences. They use lots of commas. So even part of my process is measuring things, like even, how many commas do people use? How many exclamation marks do people use? How many question marks do people use? Because all of these things relate to brand voice. But then in terms of, so that's FAB. But then in my my voice guides, so brand quilt voice guides, I kind of go a little bit further, and then it's fabric is the full acronym. R is resolve, so people's values, their beliefs, what drives them, maybe their mission statement, but then also their audience's beliefs and their values, which is really important to connect with. I is for identity, so people's USP, so unique selling proposition, their value proposition, their mission statement. So I should have said that instead of vision statement. And then the C is cohesive storytelling. So that's all about their brand story, like where have they come from, but not only their brand story, but what type of stories does the brand tell, which is such an important part of brand voice as well. So one of my colleagues, Jill Hill, talks a little bit about the type of stories that different brand voices talk about. So for me, because I'm my voice type is like friend at the bar. I'm very relatable person. So I talk about like my dog. I talk about like my life. I talk about like mistakes, like learnings, failures, like things like that make me relatable. Like, a lot of people, I hope, when they read my content, might think, okay, I've been there before. And then it just really depends about what type of voice you have, and then the stories that go with that voice type. But yeah, in terms of the voice guides, I've named them voice quilts, voice quilt voice guide. So basically, because it's fabric, I really think about all these elements like the fabric of your business. So it's like a quilt, but quilts can come in all different shapes and sizes. They can be colorful, they could be kind of plain, they could have bobbly bits on them. It's kind of all very different. So I think it's a beautiful metaphor there. But yeah, is there anything else that you would like to know?
Oh, absolutely. I quite liked the framework that you've created there, because it makes it super easy for people to understand what it is that you can help them bring to life. Now, there's a lot of people that either just copy and paste, and then they end up feeling like they're phonies, like on the internet, and it just really doesn't sound like them. You meet them in person, and they're chalk and cheese to the person that they present themselves online, and that obviously makes people feel less confident, and they don't even stand out because there's nothing that differentiates them from the marketplace. How is it that then you guide them through this transformation? Because with the framework that you have, it does seem like you're taking people, literally hand holding them, so they can create a business that's profitable and enjoyable.
Yeah, that's exactly. And I love how you said about how people, do that copy or paste. So they kind of write about how they think they should behave. Like I see this with a lot of my therapists and colleagues, like they'll write how they believe a therapist should write or how they should sound. And then of course when say people call up or they meet them in person, it might not they might be completely, like you said, chalk and cheese to who they are in person. And so really, when people, and this isn't necessarily with just like health, it can be with any kind of business, right? So if I was to call you up or something and book a call, and I go, oh well, Prosper sounds a bit different to like what you are online, it kind of has that like that dissonance and that kind of feeling from from a client point of view. But then also for the business owner, you're going, oh my gosh, what is wrong with me? Like I'm a fraud, I can't do this, I'm terrible. It's like all that spiral of negativity. Whereas it could be just because how you're speaking online isn't reflective of how you are in person. And so, going through the framework, a little bit is education, or just like helping people know it's okay to show who you are. You don't have to show everything. Like it doesn't have to be like all, like let's unveil the curtain and show like every aspect, but we can work out, well, okay, if you're like super quirky in in your personal life, like are there any elements that we could bring in? Maybe it's like a tiny little bit of quirkiness just to kind of show who you are. It doesn't have to be like the full thing. Like I'm just using me as an example just for I guess confidentiality maybe, but I'm someone who is quite philosophical, and I can be quite serious, but I don't necessarily I only show those aspects sometimes online for certain topics. So it's also part of helping people realize, well, when you're talking about business ownership, when you're talking about parenting, like what type of tones can we talk about in these specific areas? But if we're talking about something that's like fun and if maybe it's on TikTok or it's on Instagram or something, maybe we can show different qualities of yourself. So it doesn't have to be the same tones or the same kind of qualities that you're showing, or actually ends up being a little bit like a caricature of yourself rather than like a full human, which is like we're so many different things all at once.
Absolutely. I quite like that because from what you're saying, it does seem like you literally give people back to themselves. Like they are there, but their voice is probably lost in the whole noise of the internet. But you look at all those elements, you look at the brand therapy, you do a brand reset with them, and then you just really renew them and hand it back to them, so to speak. So for those that are considering your services, how do you typically sort of work with clients, and what can they expect with the collaboration, through the process of working with you?
Yeah, good question. So usually I start off with a like a quick phone call just to kind of check in to see what they're wanting, what their difficulties are that they're having in their business. Because sometimes maybe my services might not be the best one. Maybe they need something else like business coaching or that kind of thing. So I really want to make sure that the people I work with need kind of what I have to offer, of course. And then once people are all booked in, we start off with I love it's one of my favorite things, and it's often what my clients say is their favorite thing is like a branding or brand therapy call, where it's generally a few hours and we talk all about really get into the nitty-gritty of their business, but who they are, what they do, and then with my voice guides, that's also about, we do what we call a brand voice finder session, which is like a lot of fun. So basically we really dive into how the brand sounds. So in terms of the tones that they use in their voice, like really get super deep into that with a specific exercise that I run them through. And then we chat a little bit about what I think their brand voice is, in terms of the 9 voice types that there are, and then their personality. I kind of sometimes their personality takes a little while to come to me, because it's not just something that I kind of cherry pick. Often you might have heard of the 12 archetypes. So generally I'll make one up that's unique to that, that business, that really speaks to them and what they're about. And then we get to work on the voice guide. But I like the word that you said before, collaboration. Like, I want people who work with me generally like that collaboration and like that talking things through with people. And because I do also work with a lot of creative people who I think appreciate that collaboration, sometimes when I have an idea, they might have another idea that kind of bounces off mine that's maybe even better than what I have, but maybe it kind of takes those two people to kind of work together to kind of get there, if that kind of makes sense.
Absolutely. And what would be the best way that these people can reach out to you and start collaborating with you?
So you can reach out on my website, bellcopyco.com, or through Instagram. I'm quite active on Instagram. I love getting DMs from people and chatting through there. So like, definitely don't feel guilty about like sliding into my DMs. That's totally cool.
Absolutely. This is quite exciting. I will definitely put all that information in the show notes so that we can actually, experience the magic that Caitlin can bring to the table. And especially if you can start writing content that sounds as fabulous as you are, that will be the best thing that can help you differentiate yourself in the marketplace there. Now, Caitlin, for me, this has been quite exciting. And, the fact that you've been to the place where it's everybody's dream and every child's dream, Disney, you've been there, done that, and you've flown back home and you've sat at the bedside with, people in palliative care and aged care, and you've seen both spectrums of life, and you've even added on the fact that you've put a business in the mix. All these things are usually the hardest things that anybody can ever do, in life. Growing up, running a business, and getting ready to die, and you are front row seats to actually get to see all of this. Now, what sort of advice would you give to young Caitlin who is sitting in that interview, waiting for Disney to say yay or nay that you can come and play on the swings with Mickey?
What a good question. So, I would say just, it sounds a bit corny or cheesy, but like, follow your heart. Like, just go for it. Don't think too much about it. Just, everything will fall into place. Like, I love that quote. Is it Steve Jobs, that one about like the dots, and you can't connect the dots going forward, you can only connect them going back. So just that, even if things don't really make sense at the time, they will in the future, and everything will like lead up to and make sense and be like a beautiful quilt at the end.
Absolutely. I will actually instruct my team to put a musical theme to what you're saying there, because it really does sound Disney's follow your dreams, just do whatever. And there'll be a picture. We will impose a picture of you connecting the dots, looking backwards, with Steve Jobs in the horizon there as part of it, right? So I'm just giving my team editing instructions there. But I really am excited about what you've done, who you've become, and who you are becoming. I mean, I don't know, Caitlin. You've done the most exciting things. You have done the most exhilarating stuff being an entrepreneur, and you've spoken to people that would have really given you the most wisdom, who are sitting on their deathbed. What's next? What can people expect from you? You've solved death, you've solved birth, you've solved life. What else can we grab from you?
I love it. What else? What's next? I think, I know it sounds a bit, a bit corny. I don't have a huge thing to say, but in terms of just enjoying now, enjoying I've got a puppy. She's a few months old, so just really loving that. Enjoying my family, friends. But in terms of business, what's next? I think I would love at some stage to help other businesses, maybe do potentially some kind of coaching or something like that in that space. So it makes sense, of course, with my psychology background, to help people in terms of with imposter syndrome. I think that kind of chunk maybe is missing. So help people on like a practical kind of copywriting, kind of with words level. But it would be lovely to do something that's more about like mindset or something to kind of round off what I offer.
I mean, who wouldn't want to learn from somebody who knows and spent time with a mouse that was supposed to be a boy? And if you really look at what you have done, I mean, Disney is one of the biggest examples in, first of all, business success. Second of all, storytelling. All the stories. That's the reason why Disney has any intellectual property. It's all the stories that they're telling through their videos and everything else, and the fact that they've created a world that other people would like to be a part of. As a business, we're out here trying to connect or create for and relate to our audiences, but we miss the most important part. We never invite people back home to us. We never invite people into our world. Who are we, and what is it that we're trying to create that people can continuously enjoy for years and years and years to come? You know what I mean? Like right now, if I just mention Bambi or Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck, it's things and characters that we can understand based on somebody's creation. So as a business owner, what characters are you creating such that there could be a good story to tell a little bit later on? And I think, Caitlin, what you have in your hands, like I have tried to piece together, the whole birth side of things to the death and anything else in between. A lot of people don't quite understand that, and you are actually sitting front row and have had experience with that. I really hope you've got an understanding of what you hold in between your hands. You owe us a book.
Oh, thank you. Wow, it's a lovely thing to hear and have it like reflected back with me. So maybe that is another thing, is like not business owners, not stopping and reflecting and thinking about where they've come. I love that. And I think that's a fantastic thing that you offer. Like, how cool is that you get to, do that with other business owners through your show. But something that really struck me with what you were saying before is about legacy. Like, what can we do in our businesses that make such an impact on people that will be, remembered for a long time? And it's a great question to think about and ponder on.
Well, the best thing is this video is going to be recorded on the internet, and it's set in stone. Unless they delete the internet, people in 2055 and 2060 or 2174 could be watching this video right now. Yes, you might be questioning our technology and things of that nature. We have advanced. We're using the cloud now. I don't know what you guys are using I don't know, maybe you're saving information in plants, like what they are planning to do right now. You know, you could just go onto a tree and plug in a USB and you can start watching videos from decades ago. But whatever it is, keep telling those stories. Go from, you know, creating, you know, just Me Too content out there and start creating content that actually resonates with who you are and what it is that you're here to create on this world. Well, that was an enlightening and inspiring conversation with Caitlin Bell right there. Thank you so much for being a guest on the show. And I really enjoyed taking this journey with you today.
Thank you so much. It was, yeah, such a joy to be here and to learn from you. I'm, taking things from our conversation. It's making me think in a different way. So yeah, I owe my, gratitude to you. So thank you.
Fantastic. And if you're a small service business owner or a personal brand, stop looking at the algorithm for answers. You need to find your own unique voice so that you can make a lasting impression. We were just talking about how Walt Disney created a mouse that is now hundreds of years in, and people are still telling the stories that would have happened at that part. So you want to create something that will definitely stand the test of time. And I think Caitlin is your go-to expert, as she has mastered both planes, the birth, the death, and everything else in between. Now, remember, it's all about going from feeling like a phony to actually feeling confident and standing out in your brand's voice and your brand's copy. And don't miss out on the opportunity to work with Caitlin to transform your business online. I'm going to be putting all the details in the show notes below so that you can connect with her. Until next time, this has been Prosper and Caitlin. We're signing off from this enlightening episode of the Online Prosperity Show. Stay tuned for more so you can create for and relate to your audience. Bye for now.